Shalom, everyone, and welcome to our 29th Coffee and Connection. I'm really happy to be here with all of you. Baruch Hashem. It's been a very busy week. Baruch Hashem. My daughter had her bat mitzvah last week. Baruch Hashem. And then my husband and I were just able to get away for a few days, thank God, which was really special. And we just got back. So I look a little disheveled. We just drove in and had the kids, just jumping on us, and Baruch Hashem, it's good to be home, and it was definitely nice to get away and nice to get back. So I thought that, when I was thinking this morning, like, what am I going to talk about in Coffee and Connection? I realized, well, I'm already like starting getting into the vacation mode a little bit. Today was actually, I mean, technically it's the kids' last day of school, but not really. My older kids finished earlier. My younger kids all really have like summer learning this year. Some of my kids never have summer vacation. So it's definitely, we're not really on vacation, but summer definitely has some challenges, right? And I want to talk about those challenges, and I want to talk about a few things that can really make a huge difference in how we feel throughout the summer and how we feel at the end of the summer, right? Now, this is a topic that anyone who's been in our community over the years knows that it's something I bring up every year and something that we've discussed, something I've sent emails about, discussing how to enjoy your summer vacation, how to enjoy, and actually that word itself is a misnomer, right? Because it's not really a vacation. And that's the very first thing I wanted to talk about, because I think the first thing that really messes us up over the summer is, well, I'm going to compare it to when a woman goes on chofshat leida, right? When a woman goes on maternity leave, and you get these like thoughts like, oh, I'm gonna be maternity leave, I'm gonna get this done, and I'm gonna get that done, and I'm gonna work on this project, and I'm gonna learn this topic, and I'm gonna organize this thing in my house, and you get all these big ideas, right? Sorry, one second. Yes, yes. I'm just on a call. I'm on a video. No. Okay. Okay, sorry. And then like a few weeks later, she'll be like, I don't understand. I can't get anything done. I'm so tired, and the baby's crying, and I have to nurse all the time. And it's like, well, yeah, that's the whole reason you're on Chofshat Leida, right? But still, like, we can still get into our minds like, oh, it's like something's different. There's a shift, right? I'm not going to be working, whatever it is. So there's this assumption that I'm going to get all these other things done. Meanwhile, the whole reason you're on maternity leave is because it takes a lot of time to recuperate and to take care of the baby, right? Baruch Hashem. So I want to apply the same kind of thing to this summer vacation, right? Where the kids go on vacation. Maybe you get some vacation, depending on, if we definitely have a change in schedule. There's a change in schedule. And I think that change in the air, maybe from when we were kids, there's like this thought, like, oh, I'm going to get something done this summer. I'm going to get more done than usual, forgetting perhaps that you're going to have more on your plate than usual, right? And this is whether your kids are home, you got your grandkids around, whether you're going to be getting away or you're not going to be getting away, whatever it is. And this can apply to anywhere in life. If this doesn't resonate with you, you don't have the summer vacation issue. Any time in life where we have an expectation, because that's what this is about. When we have certain expectations on ourselves, certain shoulds, certain thoughts of like, this is what I'm going to accomplish, this is what I'm going to get done. And then when it doesn't get done, we take it to mean that there must be something wrong with us, or we get frustrated with the people in our lives. And what I'm going to invite you to consider is that perhaps instead of getting frustrated and feeling upset during or at the end of the vacation, because you didn't get those things done, perhaps looking at what are the expectations that I'm having of myself. are they realistic? Right? Because, like I said, for many of us, we go into it thinking, oh, I'm going to be on break. But really, we have more on our plates than we did before. You still have to do all the stuff that needs to get done every day. And your kids are home and they're cranky and they're bored, or you got to get them to camp, or you got to take them away and do trips with them, or you got to, just deal with their boredom and all their extra meals they want at home, or whatever is true for you. Realizing that when we and this is the first thing, when we put on ourselves this idea of like, I'm going to get so much done, that in and of itself can then cause the frustration that we end up taking out on ourselves, taking out on our kids, taking out on our husbands, taking out on the people we love. And then we feel horrible and we feel down on ourselves, and we create this negative energy instead of being able to really enjoy. So the very first thing is recognizing that, just like, not look at what am I expecting of myself over the summer. I just caught myself doing it today, like thinking like, oh, I'm going to get this done and that done. And I'm like, what am I even thinking of, right? I still have my regular stuff going on, and I'm going to have kids home, and I'm going to have to deal with, it's hot and they're bored, and oh my gosh, like, what am I putting on myself? Why am I expecting to be able to do more? Sometimes we have to remind ourselves that, like, doing, like, remind ourselves to expect less but more, because even doing less, I still have more kids around, more expectations of mommy time and mommy camp and whatever you want to, however you want to think of it. So that's the first thing, is looking at what are my expectations? What am I putting on myself? And then looking at what are the expectations that I'm putting on myself in terms of what kind of mother I'm going to be, how much I'm going to be able to do for my kids. I've had women share with me that they believe it's their responsibility to constantly entertain their kids and come up with activities for them all the time. And that, I mean, she loves it. And I was like, oh my gosh, that sounds horrible. I like can't, I always tell my kids, I am not your entertainer, right? I'm not the camp director that constantly has to come up with activities. And they're like, I'm bored. I'm like, that's okay. I'm not really worried about kids being bored. I think boredom can be helpful. It teaches you to be creative. It teaches you to use your brain and figure things out. But, and again, recognizing, like, what are the expectations we're putting on ourselves? Are we expecting ourselves to constantly come up with activities for them? And we have to realize that if they say, what should I do? And we start listing ideas, so look at what happens. If you start listing ideas, your kids are like, great, thank you for that idea. And they go do it. And that works for you. Amazing. But if when you start listing ideas, they say, no, no, I don't want to do that. Why would you say that? Then what's happening is that it's like you're saying that it is on my shoulders to give you what to do, but yet it's just causing frustration for everybody, because they're not taking the initiative to find something that they want. They're putting it on you, but they're also not being receptive and open to what you're sharing. So now both of you are putting it on your shoulders to figure out what they will make them happy, right? It's like when our kids are hungry. Tell me that if you have this too, when your kids are hungry and they say, what should I eat? And you start listing these things to them and everything's like, no, 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 no. And it's like, well, wait a second. You're the only one who really knows what you're in the mood for. You're the only one who knows what you want. So what do you want? Because me listing those things for you means that you don't have to actually think and get in touch with, what do I want? That then you're just going to say no, because you're not getting in touch with what you want. So anything I say is not going to sound like what you want, because you haven't gotten in touch with that. Does this make sense? So by saying, you know what, as much as they may want you to feed them that, like feed them the list, that's not getting anyone anywhere, unless you see it works. If they're like, yeah, great idea, and you're happy to do it, fine. that if you're feeling frustration, that you're constantly trying to give them ideas and they're saying no, and then you feel like you have to constantly come up with ideas for them, I'd invite you to try to take a step back and see how that feels. Okay, after some time perhaps, but how does that feel to change that pattern and take that responsibility off of your shoulders? Right. So that's also, are you expecting yourself to be like super mom, super mommy, always there, always taking them out, always giving them things to do, always making, three big perfect meals, getting them where they need to go exactly on time, having the perfect snacks always there. When we put those expectations on ourselves very often, what happens, I just had a client talking to me about it today, when we put huge expectations on ourselves, on our shoulders, it usually ends up with us being frustrated and taking it out on our kids, right? The exact people that we want to, you know, think that we're the best moms, right? So the best thing to do really is to let go of those own expectations that we're putting on ourselves and say, okay, what can I do? Who am I? What am I willing to do? What are my, what's the word I'm looking for here? Like my talents or the things I'm good at that I can bring to the table, and letting our kids, figure things out, letting our kids, um, find their own activities, entertain themselves, knowing that things are not going to be perfect all summer. And that's okay. It doesn't have to be the perfect summer vacation, right? And that brings us to our third thing, which is really looking at how do we even define, right? We talked about not having huge expectations on ourselves to get a lot done, not having huge expectations to be this, you know, perfect mother or camp director. And how about also in terms of how we expect the time to go? How do we expect our kids to feel? How do we expect ourselves to feel at the end of it? One of the biggest things I love to share is a few years ago, my husband and I took the kids on this crazy trip. We went away for like 6 weeks. Some of us went. My husband took some of the kids somewhere in Europe. I went to visit my friend Leora here in Vegas. We went to visit our parents. We did a Shabbaton in Germany. It was a crazy, crazy, crazy trip. I can't even fathom that we did it and that we were away for so long. And before we went, my husband said to me, "Are you ready?" And I was like, "Yep, this is going to be quite a vacation." And he looked at me and he said, "It's not a vacation. Let's look at it like it's not a vacation, right? It's a trip, but it's not a vacation. This is family time." And that was so, like, we were like, yeah, we like got on board with that. It was so important for us to set that different, like make that difference. And I remind myself of that every year. I think we discuss it every year before we go on our family trip, um, because it keeps us in tune to the fact that, like, what's our intention in this time? What's our intention summer vacation or when we take a trip with our kids? Is our intention a vacation? Because like we said, likely it's not really going to feel like a vacation. We still have to do laundry, right? We still have to cook sometimes or worry about the food. The kids are still fighting. Kids are cranky. You have to, you or your husband might be cranky. Things are crazy. You got to deal with a lot of stuff. And if you're thinking that it's going to be a vacation, then when it's not, it feels very frustrating and can cause resentment. But what happens if instead we look at it as family time, right? Family time, time to be together. Then whether that's all summer or, the few days or whatever it is that works, that you do in your family, to take that time and set the intention of, this is going to be quality time, or this is going to be, we're going to get through this summer without going crazy, right? Or we're gonna like set the intention not to have a vacation, but set the intention to have a warm, right? Not just outside, but inside, warm, with air conditioning on, a warm and happy and just, nor that doesn't mean the kids won't fight, but it means a vacation where, sorry, a time, a trip or a summer where there is a feeling of warmth and you can spend time together happily, right? Because that way you're again shifting the expectations. It's all about the expectations that we have before the summer starts. And I'll just add one more idea and I'll see if anyone has any questions. One more idea to keep in mind is that we often have these expectations, especially because we put so much time or effort or energy, especially into trips that we might be taking, but even just in the summer itself, whether you go, to a different, if you go up north or wherever you are in the world, if you go to a summer home, or even if you're just home with your kids, there may be this expectation that it's going to be so nice, right? We put time and effort and money into these kinds of into these summers, into our time with our kids over the summer, or even our time with our husbands over the summer. And there's this expectation that it won't, like, it'll just go so nice. No one's going to fight. No one's going to argue. No one's going to whine. Everything's going to be pleasant. Everyone's going to have so much fun and be smiling all the time. And then you get so upset because the kids are fighting in the back seat and they're whining and they don't all want to do the same thing and they're complaining about things. And you may think to yourself, what is the point? Why are we doing this? And it's such an important thing to remember. This is something that I definitely have been seeing with my own family, and I remember my mother telling me all the time that we used to go on these trips. Like once a year, we'd go away. Not even every year, but sometimes we'd take these trips. And she said, you and your siblings, you would all spend so much time fighting. You'd spend the whole trip fighting with each other. And I'd sit there in the front seat going, why do I even bother? Why am I doing this? Right? Meanwhile, now, when we sit around, we don't talk about fighting on those trips. We don't remember fighting on those trips, but we remember the trips. And we talk about them with love and happiness and excitement, all our memories from the trips that we took. And Bezrat Hashem, it happened. Think in your own family, right? If how that happens, how that works out. When there's a general, just when we can relax and be in the moment, when we can enjoy in the reality of what is without all of our expectations, even if the kids are fighting, even if things are crazy, even if they say they're not having a good time and, oh, why are we here? It's so hot. Or, why don't you have something for us to do every day? In the end, what is it that they're going to remember? Are they going to remember that they were fighting and complaining and whining? Probably not. And even if they do, they may remember it fondly. Like, oh, remember how we used to fight all the time? Remember how we'd sit in the back seat and fight over who had to sit in the middle? Remember how we would, I don't know, get upset that like we always had to eat pizza? Like, who knows? But what will they ultimately remember is that you went, that you had fun together, that you made that effort, and that it was a positive experience. So what, the theme of all of this, and this is always important in life, is to look at our expectations. What are our expectations? What are we expecting going in? What are we comparing the reality to? And what I really invite you to do is, as we step into the summer, and I know in America you're probably already in summer, but as we here especially are stepping into summer, what I invite you to do is look at your expectations. What are you expecting of yourself as a woman? What are you expecting of yourself as a mother? What are you expecting that family time to look like? What are you expecting this summer to feel like? And be honest with yourself. Be realistic about what you really can do and what you're really going to be handling and how kids generally are. And set an intention instead of an expectation, set an intention of how you want who you want to be over the summer, because that's all you can control, right? And to set that intention and take care of yourself. And maybe we'll talk about this on a future episode because it's very important as well. right, is taking care of ourselves, especially over the summer, right? Instead of saying, well, I have no time over the summer, it's like, no, especially when we have more on our plate is when we need to take care of ourselves even more. And I really invite you to set that intention of who you want to be, and recognize those expectations and let them go. Because when we try to compare ourselves to our expectations, they're almost always going to fall short, because expectations usually are perfect and are, don't involve any of the realities of life. Um, and intentions and also expectations usually involve other people, which we can't control. But setting an intention is all about you and who you're going to be. So I invite you right now, you could do it in the chat, you could do it on a piece of paper, you could put it into your phone somewhere. Just write down one, maybe two words of who you are committing to being, your intention of who you are going to be over the summer. And just take a moment to really write it down, set that intention, give yourself accountability. You're welcome to send it to me if you'd like, and and really commit yourself to being real and um, real and loving to yourself, while letting go of the expectations that end up compromising who it is that you really want to be over the next 8 weeks or so, right? So, if anyone has any questions, you can go ahead and put them in the chat, whether I'll get to answer them today or on a further call. It's always great to get your questions, and I want to thank you all for being here with me. And I wish us all an amazing, amazing summer. It should be a safe summer, a healthy summer. We should have fun and connect to everyone around us as we do so. Be'ezrat Hashem. And I'm just going to quickly check my schedule. I'm pretty sure that next week we will be returning to Monday nights for our coffee and connection. But stay tuned, check your email. I will let you know. I will give the exact dates to make sure I'm giving the right answer. Hold on one second. I see my calendar right here, and it's already blocked off for next week. So I guess we'll go back to Mondays. So Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern. I will see you all next week. Be'ezrat Hashem. And until then, may we all be blessed to live, love, and be loved with all our hearts. Goodbye for now.